Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast, episode 752. It is April 6th, 2023. I'm your host, Nick Henderson. Joining me tonight is Nolan. Nolan is back. Hello. Hello, Nolan.
Hey, how's it going? I'm back. It's me.
People, I think, were starting to fear you would never return.
Nah,
but you're here.
I've just been busy.
Siberia is a long drive.
A long drive? Yeah. Drive? Okay,
yeah.
We're just gonna leave it at that. Well, welcome back, Nolan. It's good to see your shining face once again. And Brad's here. Hello, Brad.
Hello.
That's about as much as he can muster. And Chris Davis.
Hello. I can muster that.
That's not coffee you're drinking?
It is coffee.
How much creamer did you? That looks like 80% creamer.
It's I poured in a little bit too much creamer. I will.
That looks like milk. Oh my god!
I went to Sam's like 2 weeks ago and they had like these big jugs of like the coffee mate and the dairy stuff.
Love big jugs.
I mean, who doesn't? Yes. But like, small
Nick,
jugs are okay too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Are you one of those fuckers that like cream shames people?
No.
You know, as someone who's lactose intolerant and would love cream in his coffee every now and then, I don't get to have that. So I feel like the opposite. I applaud him for being able to put that much fucking cream in his fucking coffee, because occasionally I would like a bunch of cream in my coffee, but I don't put it in there.
I think you're the one.
Shame this man.
You first of all, cream shaming sounds so wrong, and it's gonna inevitably.
That's a pretty good category, Nick. But that being said, Brad, you know they make like non-dairy creamers, right?
Yeah, but then you gotta buy those.
You have to buy cream?
No,
what do you mean?
I've look, man, I've run the gamut of non-dairy dairy options, and I don't love them.
Okay, I just want. This has been like two instances. This happened primarily off the feed, but like, there's been two instances tonight since we got on this call where it's been like someone has said, "I could do that, but that means I have to blank," and it just makes me go, "What?" First, Chris Davis was like, Brad was trying to convince Chris Davis to run footage a particular way, and Chris Davis's argument as to why he was not going to do it was because that means he had to pay attention. And
to the video, yes, on this audio recording show.
It was more complicated than that, but you're right.
I know. I oversimplified it, but now Brad is like, I have to buy it. That's your argument?
No.
What is up, guys?
I've had all kinds of non-dairy dairy stuff. I don't know.
Hey man, it's
either too expensive or too thick, or like just too watery, or just it's never. I'm saying I want the real deal.
He wants the real cream.
Sometimes it's too cummy.
There it is.
I don't like.
You know, are you talking about those like pump spray thing? I know what you're talking about. Some of those creamers that like come out like very viscous.
The huge pump bottles where it's like it's shelf stable.
Yeah, and it's like very viscous.
Yeah.
I've been into. I think it's like, what is it? Coffee Mate. They have like a 0 sugar Italian cream. Something Italian sweet cream or something. That's what I've been doing in my coffee, just because I can't do black coffee.
Let me just
sweet cream of an Italian in your
coffee. Let me just say, so Robin recently just found out that I think it's Coffee Mate. One of them, like their creamer is made with like a shocking amount of vegetable oil, and she's been like, I can't do this anymore. That's the thought of just putting vegetable oil in my coffee, just can't get it out of my head. So she's like completely stopped drinking that. But Brad, you could always just power through it. Just get regular creamer, just power through it.
Oh, I've been powering through all kinds of shits my entire life, Nick. Trust me, I do not eat like I probably should.
Welcome to the club. All right. Anyways, That was an interesting start to the night. Sorry, Chris Davis, you had something you wanted to add about the creamer?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to hashtag cream shame anymore. Let's move on.
I mean, I feel like that's going to be the name of this episode inevitably. All right, welcome to the show, everybody. We are here to talk about video games, as one does. We got some stuff to talk about. It's been kind of a slow week news-wise, but of course, I want to start things off with a little housekeeping. And actually, Chris Davis went into my show notes per my requests and my instructions and added some additional things here I was not aware of. So I'm going to assume that Chris Davis has done his research here. If I'm wrong about any of this, it's Chris Davis's fault. But I want to extend some congratulations, I guess, to Travis. Our homeboy Travis apparently just had a baby boy, right?
Yeah.
So extend congratulations to our boy Travis for being a new father. That's super exciting. Congratulations, Travis. I'm sure people in chat are excited to hear that.
He's got pictures in the general channel.
There we go.
Oh, nice. I have that channel muted, so that's why I didn't know about it.
There we go. So that's pretty awesome, man. Congratulations. I also want to extend a congratulations to community member Shakusky, who apparently got engaged recently.
Nice.
In Hawaii.
Congratulations.
In
Hawaii.
That's pretty sick. So congratulations, Shakusky. I don't know if you're in chat right now, but if you're listening to the show, congratulations.
One of my coworkers actually just got engaged. He proposed to his girlfriend on April Fool's.
Was that part of the bit? Like, I'm assuming.
I think so. Yes, he did it like on purpose.
That's fantastic. There's probably a good story there. But yeah, congratulations to both of you. That's super exciting. I also, of course, as we do every week, I like to start the show off with some Fantasy Critic updates. Although there's not a ton to highlight.
There's more than you think. There's more than you think.
Yeah, well, of course, because Brad always has more to bring. Before we get to you, Brad, let me just quick update. We have one pending bid right now for War Tales, I believe. Right? That's if I
yes.
That because again, these updates happen an hour before we go live on the show.
Didn't bid on that.
I know.
He said the name of that game with a question mark.
Yeah, it's definitely not me. So I'm gonna guess that seems like a Brad joint, personally, but it also could be Nolan. Nolan swoops in keeps an eye on indie games and could swoop in with something like that. I do things
from time to time.
We actually haven't spoken to you in a couple weeks, Nolan, as we said. You've been keeping an eye on, at least on what's going on with the Fantasy Critic, and
he's picked up a game since we last talked to him.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes, I did. And yeah, I've been eyeballing some stuff, but nothing's really caught my fancy. I actually still have several more games I need to add, obviously, before the end of the year. But I'm kind of holding out a little bit because I'm hoping something worth my while is going to come around that either hasn't been officially announced for this year, or maybe an indie game that kind of pops up out of nowhere.
June, July is going to probably be a big.
I know you're slow playing it too, Nolan. I know you want to stay up there in the Buckaroos.
It's April. Like, what are we in a hurry for?
No, I know. Look. I know.
Brad just wants more spice. That's all he wants. That's all he cares about.
No, it's not about that. If I know what Nolan's doing and it's smart, and don't get too far away from the person with the money lead. And that's smart. All his bids have also been like $1, and that's smart. Yeah. I know what he's doing.
I think only one person has more money than me right now.
That's me.
Last I checked. Yeah, that's
right. Brad's still in the 90s, I think, right?
Or, I think I'm at 87.
I also got
if that Mario game actually gets announced, it's gonna be a fucking bloodbath. Whoever actually wants to buy it.
People are gonna be doing some crazy fucking things. That's for sure. But I don't know. It depends on what it is. That last Mario game got like an 89. The one with Bowser's Fury. So
yeah.
If it's
Odyssey, doesn't happen every time.
Yeah, but if it's like an Odyssey, like if it's a 3D Mario game, like we looked at that, that actually scored higher than Breath of the Wild by 1 point on OpenCritic. It had a 90.
Did y'all see? There's news on that, right? There's news on that.
Wait,
I do not know that.
Someone asked in an interview. They asked fucking Miyamoto or whatever, and he said, "I don't know. Pay attention to some Nintendo Directs or some shit, or like upcoming." or keep an eye on. Am I correct? Did I dream this?
No,
what was the
this was
question?
it was a press junket event for the Mario movie, and an interviewer asked, "When can we expect the next Mario game?" And Miyamoto said something to the effect of, "Please stay tuned for future Nintendo Direct updates."
Yeah,
that sounds pretty teasy to me.
Well, yeah, but
that sounds like PR to me.
Development for a decade or something. So
well, I mean, here's the thing. We know this game. I mean, of course, there's always a big Mario game in development.
It just feels like it would be a launch game for the next Switch version or whatever, right? It just feels like that.
I don't think so. I don't.
They launched
I don't know. They
Zelda
gotta have something this fall. They gotta have a game for this fall. They can't end their year on Zelda in June. They can't.
No.
So I don't know.
No one says they're going to.
It's probably the Donkey Kong game that's coming.
That could be
that's
Donkey
been
Kong.
rumored too. But remember, part of that rumor is Nintendo, EAD or whatever. Like the Mario team is going to be making that if the rumors are true. So,
and the point is, it's early. Things have died down a little bit for us right now. We're in a little bit of a lull. I think because a lot of us are kind of waiting to see what comes around in June, July time.
Yeah, it's early. It's early, but the longer you wait, the more likely those later announced games could potentially get delayed because there are delays every fucking year. So I feel like the further you get into the year, the larger games are going to become riskier. Like the larger games that get announced for the later in the year are riskier.
Right.
I mean, there's always going to be like indies to bid on because that's just going to be all the way up until December. There's going to be solid.
Everybody will have a full list. Everybody will have a full list when this is over.
Everyone's going to have a full list. But as far as like, are you going to take a risk on some?
Some people have fuller lists sooner than others.
Speaking of which, Chris Davis picked up. It has our only pickup that we've had in the past week. He picked up Tekken 8. And he dropped Dead Island 2, which we've been kind of
smart, fucking smart.
That was a smart move because you were definitely you were more than likely going to lose points or gain absolutely nothing on that game.
The reason why I picked up Dead Island 2 to begin with was because that demonstration trailer they showed off, the tech looked really fucking cool.
It does, and I think a lot of the negative reactions now are people realizing that the game is more linear. Like I think if that game was,
and that feels a bit harsh, honestly.
No, if that game scores higher than an 80, I'll give everybody in the league $10. Wait, no.
Somebody write
We've
that
got
down.
It on tape.
Somebody.
Gentlemen's agreement.
There's no way. You were smart to drop it. And I think obviously Tekken's a good pickup. The question is, is it going to actually hit this year? Because a lot of people are thinking it's not, despite their recent marketing blitz. And there's a lot of smart talk about that. But I will say, I think we're going to know before the end of the year. They're going to make an official statement on its either release date or that is coming next year. Well, before the end of the year, probably at Evo at the very least, they'll probably have a date for Tekken 8.
The good thing, especially for someone like me who has a lot of stuff that I am expecting to either slip or come out late in the year, is that most games
they're all going to get dates. Tentative.
It's pretty rare that a game is delayed like right at the tail end of a year. As we're going into the holidays, studios or publishers will start to will be like clarifying when games are coming out. So exactly. I don't think that'll be much of an issue.
We're probably going to know around E3, around Gamescom, around Game Awards. Everything's going to eventually, unless it's like small indie. There are some like really cool looking indie games that don't have set dates. I am too afraid to bid on those, even though they're expected this year, even though they look really, really cool. But those are the games that are more likely to pull like a Hollow Knight or Silksong or whatever, and just not say that when they're coming out. Ever.
That's not,
and the rule is that the publisher / developer or whatever, they have to say that the game is not coming that year. If they say nothing, that doesn't count. It doesn't become droppable.
You can't drop it. So it's important. Like Silksong is obviously a good get for Carlos, but like, and I'm pretty confident it'll come out this year. But like, this year, if they were to delay it, I could see them not saying anything about it. But just staying quiet, which would suck for Carlos.
Can we say there's one more piece of news that's not as obvious that I want to mention? It's that Crispy has since said he backed away from our trade deal, which
Or
we had
yeah.
made the trade.
God, this
But
again.
then we realized there's a voting process. I rescinded the trade because I decided I didn't want Benedict Fox. Thanks, Nick. And
Saved your
and
ass.
and, and I reproposed the trade, and he was like, he got scared. He got gun shy. So the trade's not happening, even though everyone said like Brad's giving away way too much.
That was a lot.
That
was a lot.
I think
metric
he must
fuck
think
ton.
there's like foul play, even though I swore on my fucking children. I've been tempted to like go into like I don't even want to say because I don't want to cause any other shenanigans for anyone else. But I was trying to make a completely honest trade, knowing that I was giving up a lot. But regardless, he backed out of the deal. Hopefully, he didn't contact the dev or some shit because that would have been fucked up. But regardless, I mean that's fair game, really.
If you're listening and you're not sure what we're talking about, go back and listen to our Fantasy Critic discussion from last week. We go into the details of that proposed trade. It was intense and it was exciting. Don't worry, trades I think will happen. It's still pretty early.
Hopefully, I mean, we still have not how to trade. We still don't know how that voting system works.
Yeah, Crispy and
Nolan,
I.
would you have, since you weren't around, would you have like vetoed that trade? I mean,
is that how that system works? That someone else can say, "I don't want this to happen." I mean, I guess I kind of understand, and I think it would make more sense if there was like 30 of us. But there's just like so few of but there's so few of us that I just kind of feel like it's kind of a dick move to say, "Hey, these two people want to trade a game," and I'm like,
it's a pretty bad spirit to shut down a trade. I feel like, I think the purpose of that is to prevent collusion, and that's
potentially
none of us are going to do that, so that's crazy.
Shout out to a frowning bear in chat for clipping Brad's gentleman bet for Dead Island. So,
thank you.
I can't wait for Dead Island.
We haven't voted on that, and I vote no. Also, you can't give people money. They have to offer something in return, which we found out. So it won't work anyways.
So this whole year is kind of experimental in terms of us trying to figure out how this works and everything. Next year we'll go into this knowing everything at the start and kind of have the ins and outs of all these systems and stuff. But obviously it's a lot of fun keeping an eye on this. Quick minor, very, very minor update. I mentioned last week about I've talked a little bit about how my roster is pretty it's not very risk averse. It's full of games that I think have a strong chance of coming out this year, but I could see a lot of them slipping. And currently my Carlos counterpicked Alan Wake 2, which I think is actually a pretty safe bet at this point. But Silent Hill 2 is still on the table, and I don't know. I'm like, that could go either way, but I could see it. I could strongly see that slipping.
Sorry, did you mean that he counterpicked Silent Hill 2, not Alan Wake 2?
No. He counterpicked Alan Wake 2.
Yeah,
there was
not according to his sheet right here.
It's officially Alan Wake 2.
This is what happened. This is what happened on draft night. He picked Alan Wake 2, and then because there was that mix up and there was only one counter pick in place on draft night, and then I changed it to 2. We said everybody was going to pick their second counter pick, but then you had to go manually apply it afterwards, and he changed it to Silent Hill 2, but we are honoring the original. It's Alan Wake.
He wasn't allowed to do.
Then you need to be the league manager and go in and fix that because it reflects it right now.
Well, he I don't think maybe he can fix it, but he doesn't have to because we all know that when Alan Wake drops, we can manually adjust his points or whatever. You know what I mean?
If Alan Wake 2 slips, I can go in there and overwrite it, and I can drop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to, we've had this conversation. The point is,
forget.
there was a very, very, very slight ray of hope for Silent Hill 2 coming out. I don't know if you saw this. Dusk Golem, the prominent, I'll say in quotes, leaker, or the person who's
horror game leaker, usually
game leaker.
Yeah.
Which he's great. He has a really awesome, really active Twitter, and he tweets a lot. If you like great, just in-depth conversations about horror games and shit, his Twitter account is fantastic. But he tweeted that Konami updated the Steam page for Silent Hill 2. It went from TBD to coming soon. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't fucking know what that means. But I'm gonna take it as a positive sign. Anyways, that's really all we have for Fantasy Critic this week. But of course, if you're enjoying it and you want to follow along, you can find the link in Discord at discord.gg/4Player. There's also a channel set up for Fantasy Critic. We keep that pretty active. I have also posted the rankings that I update every day, mostly in a Google Doc, but it's embedded on our front page of our website at 4playernetwork.com. You can check it out there if you want to just get a quick, stamp of like where we all stand right now. You can check it out there. But with that, let's talk about the news. There's not been a ton. It's been actually kind of a slow week for news, but there's been some interesting developments. And I didn't really have an official topic of the week to really discuss this week, but I could see us talking a little bit about this rumored Sony handheld. Have you heard about this?
The Q Lite.
The Q Lite is the code name. What's up?
Info on that? Don't we know what it is now?
I mean, it is heavily rumored. I don't think anything has been confirmed or anything, but it makes sense, I think, and just in terms of like it sounds like the kind of thing Sony would pursue, especially considering their like the way they've been viewing the PSVR 2, and they had these like pie in the sky ambitions for that thing. I could see them also just going off the deep end on this as well. But it's not a handheld. By the way, the source on this was
Tom Henderson, Insider Gaming.
Insider Gaming, yeah. So this is kind of an unusual thing because it's not really a handheld in the way that we think of handheld. It's not a Steam Deck or a Switch. It is I guess it's closer to a Switch than a Steam Deck. It is a thing exclusively for remote play. It's a piece of companion hardware to your PS5 that is built for remote play. There's not going to be games that are made exclusively for this platform. It is just a way to interface with your PS5 remotely, which seems like it would be more relevant in a world that didn't have a Steam Deck, where you can already do that kind of thing if you just dig a little bit, right? If you take the initiative and go into it, you can find a way to do remote play on Steam Deck. So
yeah, but you got to.
My assumption is that it's an ease of access thing. It is I would not be surprised if maybe it had slightly better optimization because obviously it's Sony code talking to Sony code and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if like I said, it slightly performs better. Because it is doing one task and one task only, maybe it will have a better battery life. You know what I'm saying? I think there's things you could do. Obviously, a Steam Deck is literally just a computer, whereas this would be a streaming machine essentially.
So it's not doing any of the processing on the machine itself. It's streaming it from your PlayStation.
Remote play through Steam Deck works incredibly well. Like it's almost zero latency. Not like, I mean, it's not like zero, but usually when you do remote play, there's like a very noticeable delay. It plays extremely well on the Steam Deck. I mean, I've been playing a little bit of Wild Hearts, doing hunts through remote play on my Steam Deck. It works that well. Yeah. So
that's pretty crazy.
This device.
Here's my question: what is Sony's approach here? Because what would they have to do to make something like this successful? Because like
they don't. This isn't. Well, they're a hardware company that needs to be making hardware, I guess, and they're not always. I mean,
well, no,
there's also the news of the PSVR 2 being like a horrible flop, right?
In terms of sales, because that thing is going to have to get a price right. We talked about that last week.
And by the way, just a clarification on that last week about the sales numbers, about it's supposed to be hit 2 million. That was correct. That number was the goal to hit before March 1st.
Oh my god!
So less than 10 days, they expected to sell 2 million units.
That is so off. Like, why would they expect that? That's crazy.
Yeah, somebody
the PSVR, the PSVR 1 didn't even start selling until they started doing like crazy sales for like $200. So like, why were they expecting?
Especially when there's only like one like first party exclusive for the platform.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
So regarding the Q Lite specifically, so according to the article, the Q Lite is heavily in development. It's in the QA phase right now, which is several steps away from final production.
Right.
So it's probably a 2024 joint. but this is supposed to be, according to the article, part of the next phase of the PS5. And this is like one part of it. The second part of it that's going to come excuse me, before it is a PlayStation 5 Pro and
Makes sense.
the heavily rumored detached disk drive for the PS5.
Attached disk drive.
So they've been talking about this for a while. The idea is that this would be a Thunderbolt enabled device connection to a digital PS5 that does not have a built-in Blu-ray drive.
So it sounds like they're just they're backpedaling because not enough people were interested in the digital version of the platform.
No, what they're gonna do, and this has been confirmed, this is what I think they'll do, is that they're gonna discontinue the disc-based version of the PS5 and then have the PS5 Pro come without a disc.
Oh, so like
and then if you want to play Blu-ray movies, you can buy that as an attachment.
Well, I don't know about Blu-ray movies, but you mean like if you had physical games that you wanted to play on it, you could. Yeah.
Is it not too soon for a fucking Pro? Jesus Christ!
I mean, it'd be 4 years on.
So stupid.
I mean, at this point, it's supposed to be like the middle of the hardware's lifespan, which
supposed to not exist.
No, I mean, I'm speaking purely from like this is the way the world works now. Like this is just like hardware, whether it's phones, whether
the only one we want it for is the fucking
consoles.
Switch, and it's the only one that's not doing it. God damn it!
That is true.
You ain't wrong.
And also, as part of this, they're also developing a set of wireless earphones and a wireless headset, codenamed Project Nomad and Project Voyager, respectively.
Well, they have
who's playing their PS5 and is like, I want a little more juice out of this. I mean, come on, why are they even?
It's a weird approach. I mean, they are flying high in terms of like whether the PSVR is not selling well, obviously because of its price point and its library, but like the PS5 is doing tremendous as a piece of hardware is doing tremendously well.
Yeah.
So I could see them. The PSVR may not be like it's easy to look at that and be like, what the fuck are they doing? But when in reality, you should kind of look at them together and be like, okay, well, there's still reason they would be interested in pursuing these kinds of things. But like for the Q Lite to be successful, they can't come out the gate the way they did with the PSVR. You can't be like, okay, I'm going to buy a PSVR or a PS5, and then I have to buy a $400 handheld that just does remotely. Like this thing.
I think they might try to go, the cheap route.
Like $100, $150 is like an accessory that.
No,
like
this is Sony. This is Sony. They'll go for 200.
200 maybe, but like
179.
I feel like that's pushing it. Like it can't be. It can't cost more than a Switch. They just can't do it.
This is the same product company that made the PSVR 2 and priced it higher than their actual fucking console is attached to. Like
whatever. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that expensive. Whatever it is, it's going to be more than $100, $150. It's going to be more than it should cost. Especially when remote play exists. You could just get a backbone in your phone and you do it just fine, right? Like whatever this product is, it's going to be overpriced and it's not going to do enough. It ain't going to be a Vita, and that's that's what I almost want it to be.
But at the same time,
at least that's something interesting.
I don't think anybody really has much faith or is really interested in Sony pursuing another handheld because every time they've tried to do it, it hasn't been very successful. This is
true, but I mean,
comparatively speaking, it's not going to be a Switch. It's not going to be a Steam Deck. Like, I don't know. The Vita was a huge flop.
The Vita didn't do that well, obviously, but the PSP was a success. I don't think they're going to do
the Vita. One of the main reasons the Vita flopped was that it was priced significantly higher than a 3DS.
Right.
Like, and the 3DS was doing gangbusters not only because of its price, but also its library.
I mean, I do think the good thing here is that like you said, it's still kind of in early phases of development, so they have plenty of time to like pivot their strategy. Because
here's my thought on this. I understand where they're coming from, Brad. you can play PS5 games remote play on your Steam Deck, right?
Yeah, or your phone.
How many people
or your
have a
browser.
Steam Deck? What is the
I don't
crossover
know.
between PS5 users, Steam Deck owners, and even PC players?
I'm gonna
My
need to see.
assumption is, no, that's what I'm saying. My assumption is, with no facts to back it up, is there's a pretty decent sized market out there of PS5 players who don't have a Steam Deck, who don't play PC games, they don't intend on buying one, who would be
Right.
like, oh man, I can play my PS5 games in bed or whatever on the shitter. Like, oh, for only, $179.99, I'm in. Like, I definitely
Yeah.
can see a market for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you
But
could still do it on your phone though.
But
But
there's
like
a difference between doing something on a 5-inch screen versus like a 10-inch screen, like almost essentially like an iPad size like thing. There's definitely a difference. I don't know how big it's actually going to be, but I'm saying like I have done the remote play on my phone before. Does it work? Yes. Have I ever done it since the first time I tried it? No, because it's
Yeah, I
not
know.
easy.
There
It's
are
not
people
like
with,
I
give
feel
them
like maybe I'm I'm throwing myself under the bus a little bit saying this, but like hypothetically speaking, if I didn't have a gaming PC and I had no Steam Deck, I would have no interest in buying a Steam Deck. I would go out and buy this handheld before I ever considered doing it on my phone.
I think
Just
there's a lot of
period.
people who will.
Just period. I have almost zero interest in doing anything gaming related on my phone. I know I'm probably in the minority on that, or maybe that's a little unusual, but like I would spend $150.
I've had this
Hopefully.
phone. I purchased this phone a year ago. Never played a single game on it.
Right. I mean,
I doubt I ever will.
I mean, and here's the thing: I'm not going to buy this companion thing because I have a Steam Deck, and it's not particularly difficult to get PS5 remote play running on it. But Nolan's right. I think there is a big market for it. But the important thing here is that they come out the gate with the right strategy, and they can see obviously that they missed the mark with the PSVR, VR2 as far as strategy, launch strategy goes. So, and they're going to pivot on that too. That thing is going to get a price drop, and they're going to start marketing it differently, and that thing is going to start picking up a little bit.
I mean,
but like
they can't afford not to if they want to continue selling these things.
Right.
Can-
And
can I-
also,
can I
it needs to get a few more games.
Y'all want to hear this? This is wild. This is wild. I looked it up. So the Vita sold about 15, 16 million units, which not amazing. Not like, tragic or anything. Like, well, it's not great, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like people lump PSP in with that. And there is that myth that like Sony has sort of failed to reach the handheld market like the way Nintendo has.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The PSP sold 80 million units, which is more than the 3DS. It was wildly successful. And a lot of that was because of Japan and whatnot. But like 80 million units is like, that's like a top 10 selling video game system of all time. That's crazy.
For sure.
It is crazy.
I mean,
it's
crazy. Right behind
But
the Game Boy
I
Advance.
would also say though that is like comparing, like the OG iPhone to like the 8th version of BlackBerry. And it's one of those things where while yes, one of them maybe was a great thing, the other one was so unique and so advanced for its time. When the PSP came out, we didn't have anything fucking like that before. It was like playing a home console game in your hand that you could fit in your pocket. And then the 3DS came out, had a great gimmick of the 3D to 2 screens, and the Vita came out, and it was a better PSP. It's the same concept of the Wii to the Wii U. The Wii U was far superior to the Wii. It had way more things you could do. It had better games to some extent. It had some really fucking good games, but it sold like shit because it was like a Wii 1.5.
Right.
While the Vita had the touchscreen and the back and all this stuff, the gimmicks that no one really cared about. I'm not trying to say like it was not a great console at the end of the day, but that's just because it wasn't the PS. Like I said, the PSP changed things.
Oh my god, the Wii U sold 13 million units after the Wii sold over 100 million units. The Wii U sold 13 million. That's fucking insane.
It is.
Jesus. Yeah, that might be the biggest. That might be the biggest whiff.
Which is probably why ever since Nintendo's been a little hesitant about putting out a secondary or an update to the console. They've been kind of
By the way,
reserved. I mean, they
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all follow like old hardware news, retro hardware news, but like if you have a Wii U, plug that shit in and boot it up, because if you haven't done it in a while, there's a chance are that it's completely bricked. That's what people are discovering.
Yeah.
Is that
How do you mean?
Wii U's, if you have not plugged them in a while, that they're just bricking. So
Wow.
check on your Wii U.
I mean, I plugged mine in probably about maybe a year and a half ago.
Everybody
yeah,
just
then
on your
you're probably
Wii U.
fine.
Yeah.
But there are people who've not played their Wii U since, I don't know, Breath of the Wild on Wii U.
Yeah,
So-
I think I might be in that boat. But at this point, I'm steadily like trying to like collect the very small library I had on the Wii U on my Switch, because I'm just waiting for those last few. Like I'm waiting for Twilight Princess HD. I'm waiting for what else? What else was there? Wind Waker. That Wind Waker HD is fantastic. That's got to come to Switch eventually, right? I mean, really, those might be the last two holdouts. I think everything else I've picked up on the Switch or on PC or whatever. I can't believe those two amazing Zelda remasters or whatever you want to call them are like trapped on that horrible platform.
There's
All right.
that you could say that of so many games on so many platforms. Like it's just a shame that Nintendo is trying to erase the Wii U's existence at this point, it feels like.
Well, it wouldn't be the end of the world if they did. That's probably a mean thing for me to say, and probably I'm only thinking of myself when I say that, so I apologize. But yeah, that thing was a big whiff. All right, okay. I don't know how much there is to discuss here, but like I said, it was a bit of a slow week news wise. But Capcom,
I will say, hold on, sorry, before we move on. While the Wii U only sold 13 million units, it had the best fucking controller out of any console ever. I'm fairly certain that, dude. I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain that with the Pro controller, if I were to boot up my Wii U right now, that controller would still have battery. It was fucking insane. How 80 hours, man, 80 hours.
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking solid. Man, good point.
Nothing's
Good point.
come close since.
Yeah,
the Switch Pro controller is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
It's like 40 or 50 hours.
It's still pretty good, but it's
That's
not quite
really fucking good.
I'm not saying it's not good, but that's like half. You could I literally played multiple games from beginning to end without charging the battery on the controller once.
That's fucking wild.
That's crazy. And the PS5 controller is like a tragedy.
Right?
Yeah. That's why I have a dual charger for my PS5 controllers, and I have two controllers. So I just as necessary. All right. Again, like I said, slow news week, not a ton happening, but I thought this was kind of interesting because we've talked. So last week, Resident Evil 4 came out. Obviously, Resident Evil is like, we're in the midst of a Resident Evil renaissance. Like, we have all these amazing remakes. We have, 7, 8, and I'm assuming 9 coming in the not too distant future. And like, Resident Evil is bigger than it's ever been. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot of questions about, so they're remaking all these games, but what about Resident Evil 0? What about Resident Evil Code Veronica? There's a lot of people that have been kind of like waiting for them to announce remakes of these games as well, because those are kind of trapped on older hardware, and they haven't aged the best. Like, they could really use remakes. Well, apparently it looks like Capcom is preparing to do a anthology series of movies called The Umbrella Chronicles.
Can't fucking help themselves.
And they're starting with basically a movie based off of Resident Evil 0, which...
But none of this is... They've made like 43 Resident Evil movies.
They've made a bunch. But they've all been focused on kind of like the central characters, like Leon and Chris Redfield and all the stuff, and Claire, and they very rarely have deviated, but these are very specifically like adaptations of games that exist in movie form.
And when you say movie form, are you talking about live action or 3D?
No, 3D. I'm talking about like what they've been doing with like Degeneration and like all those like which is impressive tech, and it's probably the best you can hope for in terms, like, those are some pretty impressive movies. They're like the Advent Children of Resident Evil, right? Like, they're interesting, whatever. But like, the reason I thought this was newsworthy and the reason I brought it up on the show is because I am one of these people that has been like I'm loving these remakes, but like damn, Code Veronica needs that fucking remake. Because I love that game so much, but it has not aged well. And also, it came out on a
played that
Dreamcast.
recently. That one doesn't hold up like as well as the others, right?
But like, it doesn't hold up because of some awkward controls and some really, really bad voice acting and stuff like that. But like everything else,
really,
around it,
really, really bad boss fights.
and yeah, but like the atmosphere, the concept, the like the setting, like I loved that everything about that game.
Nick, here's my question: why aren't you ready for 5?
I'll take 5, but like I would prefer them to remake a game that needs it. I don't think Resident Evil 5 needs
4
the remake.
needed it?
No. But it's great.
Then they're gonna remake 5.
Yeah, sure. No.
5 was the best selling in the series for a long time.
Dude, but don't worry. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like when they inevitably announce the Resident Evil 5 remake, I'm gonna be like, sign me up. I'll take it.
Hey, they took all the QuickTime events out of 4, so I guess no boulder punching, right?
And it turned out to be a better game.
Yeah, and it's okay. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
But my point is like Zero and Code Veronica specifically are games that I think could both massively benefit from the remake treatment, right? So my question for y'all is, do you think the announcement of this like anthology series of movies pretty much is the nail in the coffin for the notion that those games will ever be remade?
No. I think it has nothing to do with the remakes, the remake plans.
You don't think so?
No.
Capcom just has a movie division that can't be resting on its laurels. They want to keep working on stuff. And they've got all these assets from a game that was made 20 years ago that are still relatively a nice quality that they can actually redevelop and turn into a film.
But like, they're not gonna use assets from the games to make these movies. Have you seen these movies? They're like expensive looking. Like they are ridiculous.
But they've got the base raw masters that they can build off of. I'm not saying that they're going to use what was created for the fucking GameCube. I'm just saying
they are going to use them as reference material.
And like basic stuff like that. My problem with this whole idea, beyond the fact that we're getting more fucking Resident Evil movies because all of them are just so good, is that
it could be worse.
It's you're doing it wrong. It shouldn't be a movie. You cannot fit an experience like this very well into a film experience. Take it slow, make it like a 3 to 4 part miniseries where you can go and just build the tension and really play up the vulnerability of the characters.
Multiple Resident Evil shows and they've been terrible. They don't need to make
because they keep doing it wrong.
For any of this shit.
They keep doing it fucking wrong.
I'm gonna shut you down right there. I just think they should maybe stop with the movies and
everything. The movies, the shows, none of that lore and story and characters are good enough. Stop it. Just keep making fun games and stop it.
I agree with you there.
Make Resident Evil 5 remake, make Resident Evil 9, maybe throw us a bone and remake Code Veronica at least. But like, man, I don't know. I just thought this was interesting, and I really do hope that this is not indicative of the fact that they're just going to ignore those other non-numbered entries in the series.
If they ever get to remaking 6, that'll be the first remake on the planet where everyone's begging for them to cut like a whole ton of content.
Just completely
very simple. Dude, give us an 8-hour Resident Evil 6, man. That would be exciting as hell.
Oh my god. Brad, you have an amazing point. I want them to remake Resident Evil 6 so bad and trim all the fucking fat. But make it like make it good like Resident Evil 4 remake.
No, don't trim the fat. Throw it all out. Get rid of all of it. It sucked across the entire experience. Just toss out the baby with the bathwater. Completely re-envision what that game is, and build it from there.
You're right. You're absolutely right. They should reimagine what Resident Evil 6 is. They should use Leon's campaign as kind of the only like structural foundation from that original game, because nobody cared about the other ones.
But the next actual Resident Evil remake game should be Outbreak.
Dude, somebody posted a video the other day, a clip from Resident Evil 6 I was like, Ada's in this game? I had no idea. I've played Leon's campaign twice. And I don't
She has
remember
a
Ada
whole
being this.
campaign. There's so many campaigns in
There are
Resident
4
Evil 6.
campaigns. Ada is the one that actually brings all 3 storylines together and makes things kind of make fucking sense.
Oh,
If you do not play Ada's campaign, it is just a jumble of just like gobbledygook you're trying to figure out.
It is. I remember playing Resident Evil 6 with Nolan and thinking, if I play this with Nolan in co-op, this would be the thing that gets me to finish this game. And again, we started with the only campaign that I had already played by myself. And by the time we didn't even finish it. By the time we got like 80% of the way through it, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't go on.
Everyone has tried to go back to try give Resident Evil 6 another chance, and no one has ever, in the history of the world, no one has ever.
It's not possible.
Can you imagine?
To do it.
Guys, can you imagine if they remade Resident Evil 6 and made it a good video game? That would be amazing.
The math is against that. I don't think that happens.
That makes it the most unique entry in the series to remake. Like
the lighting is going to be better, so the backflipping dinosaur will look scarier.
I hope that I hope that I have stopped playing video games and never want to touch them again. Before Resident Evil 6 comes out.
Get off it, Chris Davis. Resident Evil 4 remake is more Resident Evil 6 than any other.
It's
in terms of mechanics.
You have the wrong attitude about this because for me, Resident Evil 6 is a gap in an otherwise like pretty pristine franchise for me. Like it's the only numbered entry that I have never finished, and I don't think I ever will. Like if they could remake that game, but trim all the fat, reimagine what it is structurally, and make it like more in line with Resident Evil 4 remake.
I gotta say, Nick, though, he's not. It's not trimming fat. That's such like a bad analogy for what they would have to do to Resident Evil 6. It's all that game is all fat. You can't trim it. It's the entire meal you got to throw in the toilet. It's true.
It's fat and bones is all it is. There's no muscle.
I mean,
there's nothing you want to eat.
Yeah, you could remake that game by like just keeping just the general outline of like take
but
one
at
of
that point, it doesn't even matter. Who cares? No one cares about the lore and the story of 6. No one wants the story of 6 to be told in a better way. Who cares? Just make a new fucking game. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, no, I agree with Brad there. Going back to what I was originally saying is that Capcom is never going to stop trying to get a successful Resident Evil multiplayer experience. They tried with Resistance. They are trying with Mercenaries again. They're trying it with Reverse, that thing that's going to crash and burn.
Remember Umbrella Corps?
Umbrella Corps
5 had multiplayer.
Resident Evil 5
had multiplayer.
Yeah, they did.
Multiplayer.
They will never stop. So if they're going to do it right, then they do Outbreak. They use the systems they built from 2 and 3 to have an open world multiplayer experience in Raccoon City with 4 players, and that would make them so much money.
I don't know about so much. I mean,
that's not the kind of multiplayer mode. That's not the multiplayer versus game that they've been trying to make. You're just
tell that to Exoprimal.
Yeah,
because let me tell you, Exoprimal's co-op experience pretty fucking good.
Yeah, but
71 on Metacritic. That game.
That's Brad. That's wait, Metacritic or OpenCritic?
Whatever. Same.
He is desperate for that game to crash and burn, but it's only he's only desperate because of the fucking Fantasy Critic. Like just a tangent, I feel like this Fantasy Critic thing is probably the worst things that could have happened to us because it has easily raised Brad's blood pressure like 30 points.
I think you're misreading it.
He is terrified of indie games now. Like he's not a happy man.
Well, he's not terrified of them.
People
never been a happy man.
There we go.
I've only ever been a happy person. That's the thing. But people take like my like exaggerated like personality as like me being like stressed out or something, and I don't or like my weird obsessions as something that bothers me, but it's not. It's just you're just misreading the situation. I mean, Nick understands. It's we're acting crazy because it's fun to act crazy. With fantasy.
Not wrong.
You know what show I'm looking forward to more than anything, I think?
What's that?
Our next draft show, which won't be till January.
God.
Yeah,
Man,
I'm excited too.
I'm so excited for the next draft.
It's
All right,
so far away. I could be dead by then, but I'm still excited.
that's dark. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we got a few. We're going to talk about Wild Hearts. We're going to talk about Dredge. We might revisit Resident Evil a little bit. But and then of course we'll wrap up with the 4-player minute. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. We are going to jump into a couple games we've been playing. I feel like we should start with Wild Hearts because that game's actually been out for a minute, and we haven't talked about it on the show yet. Brad, you've finally delved into it, right? What's going on?
Finally, kind of started it just to kind of I don't know, play something new because I on a stupid video game podcast. But it is a game I had been excited to try. It's just I've had so much stuff. Like there's been a lot of games that I'm interested in that have come out this year, like a lot actually. And I've been sort of really. It hasn't so much like I haven't had time to play stuff, which I haven't. I've been very busy, but it's like, well, God, like I literally can't even like try out this game because I'm so busy. But I finally got around to trying it out.
And this was one that this is I don't want to say Monster Hunter clone, but that's obviously what it's kind of riffing
not a
off
clone.
of, right?
It's just a monster. It's that genre, right? It's a hunting genre game. This is from Koei Tecmo, which has made a hunting genre. Has made a hunting game series before. They made the Tokiden games, which were Monster Hunter likes, and this is a new one and is published by EA. It's called Wild Hearts, which is a pretty bad name. But people like Monster Hunter. I don't know how this one's doing, but it's pretty cool if you like games like Monster Hunter.
Pulled in 13 points for Nolan.
I've been a Monster Hunter fan for a long time. Obviously, I mean I've been playing the series off and on since fucking the PSP, right? But I got into it like more seriously with 5th gen Rise and stuff. But I've been playing it for a long time, and I'm really comfortable with those games now. And so to play something in a completely different series is tough.
It's a little weird
because by nature it's a very difficult genre, right? Like all the things you're fighting are like bosses like that are supposed to be really hard, long hunts. You can die really easily, that sort of thing. And I'm comfortable with like certain weapons, and I'm in the Monster Hunter series, and this game has kind of all new weapons and a whole new rhythm. And then even though it's very similar to Monster Hunter in a lot of ways, like I am like having a tough time just sort of understanding the vocabulary or getting comfortable with the language of Wild Hearts. With that said, it's pretty cool. Like it has like big open maps, kind of like Rise did, right? Where you can kind of go anywhere, but instead of a wire bug, you traverse it
like crafting shit.
Like crafting shit, right? This is sort of like Monster Hunter meets Fortnite in some ways, like people have been saying, because you can craft shit like very quickly on the fly. Now you craft things very quickly in combat, which you're seeing me about to engage in combat. But even before you get to combat, and this is really fucking cool. One of the cooler aspects of Wild Hearts is you set up like things in the world using your resources, right? Like as you explore these maps, which are very large, you're unlocking like these dragon veins. I don't know what they're fucking called, but they're like all over the map, and you unlock them, and it raises the cap for like the things you can like create in the world. And one of the things, because these are very huge open like 3D environments, are like you create these zip lines in the world to kind of get around the world quicker. Like that's just an example, and you're like shooting them like way far across the environment so you can like shoot across, and you can even like move them around. Like you can unhook them and like point them in a different direction and create a zip line somewhere else, or you can just destroy it and set it up somewhere else. But like you can only set up so many of those zip lines based on like sort of your cap for resources in that current map, which you raise by finding these nodes or whatever around the map. So it really encourages exploration to find all these things
Are the
because
things that you
it's
build, or
setting up. Yeah,
are like when you build a zip line on like a map, does it stay there? Like when you leave
it's
and come back,
persistent. It stays there. Not just that, but even the little things you build stay there. Like everything stays, which is fucking wild because you can see sort of like the path that you've taken. Like, oh, I was chasing down this monster like over and over again as I was like getting my ass kicked, and you can kind of see that path. You see like the battlefields where you fought them because you still see all the little like things everywhere, and like the monsters can destroy them like mid battle, like these little ones, platforms that you're setting up and stuff, but they'll
right?
come back. They'll come back
Hmm.
after that hunt's done, and they
Whoa!
will stay. And it's cool. It's cool, like setting that stuff up in the world. Like you, for example, you can create your own, set your own campsites wherever you want. Like, oh, this hunt is in this area. I'm going to set a campsite here, a forge here, a fire here. So if I do die, I'm kind of closer to the battlefield. You can't do that shit in Monster Hunter. It's like in very
Yeah.
specific spots, right? But shit like that's really cool.
I feel like
And
that's
as
the
far
kind of
as like
stuff that like
in
next
battle
gen
stuff,
Monster Hunter will like strive to kind of like.
maybe. I mean, it's just a very different thing. Now, if you see me doing stuff in battle, like creating little platforms and like spring things, and like even these little gliders are like a little quick thing that you set in battle, and you can like grab on and like fly into the air and like drop down. They all use resources, and these resources you just get from the environment like pretty quickly. You chop down a tree or chop down a rock, and you're almost like maxed out completely to kind of where you're ready to go to be good in battle for a while. But if the monster doesn't knock it down, you can keep using these platforms that can give you really advantageous like positions and situations, especially depending on like the weapon. Like I'm using this katana blade right now, which is one of the more simple weapons. Again, I've been kind of struggling to find a weapon I've really vibe with, honestly, because I'm so used to like Monster Hunter things, and I there's no lance equivalent in this game, right? There's like an umbrella that does like a counter and gets stronger as you're like countering with the umbrella, but like I just the rhythm. We're ready for the next thing. Sorry, I was gonna text
I
you.
think
I've been talking. So the thing in so like you can utilize all this stuff in battle, and it's like really cool because it stays. If the enemy doesn't like break it apart, you can keep using it. And like this katana does, like if you set up like a 3 block high thing, which is really easy to do, really quick to do, you do like a crazy like aerial lunge move, and you can keep doing it over and over again if you time it right and the enemy doesn't destroy it. But like it's pretty easy to like you have these resources. Like I'm doing it mid battle, just getting pretty much refilling up all my resources to like create new things in battle, and like these spring pads and stuff that like help you
I
get
saw you
around like
create
really quickly.
it looked like a mallet that was you pull
Yeah,
it
yeah.
back and
It knocked the enemy off like these things they create. The cool thing is the enemies, they're like all kind of like weird, like nature based, like literally like part nature. And like
Hmm.
depending on the enemies you fight, like they can create like trees and like stuff to really like kind of shape the battlefield themselves, which is neat in a lot of ways. But depending on the weapon you use, it's really neat because like the equivalent of the great sword in this game, it's kind of like an always be charging sort of situation, because you're as you're charging, you're raising a meter to do like a really powerful attack. But if you get hit or you stop charging, you got to kind of start over. But like your strongest attack comes out of that full charge. And in Monster Hunter, you're doing things like shoulder rams to kind of like you know counter the enemy to kind of keep your charge going and stuff. But in this one, the way you do it is to create these little springboards. Like you could do that with any weapon type, and some weapons are really useful with these things, but it's basically the way you dodge while charging is to create these like springboards on the fly, which shoot you around like the area to get you out of the way of attacks really quickly, because they even give you iframes so you can maintain your charge and wait for like a good opening. And like it's really that weapon relies on that specific type of uh, building,
reversal.
like more than the other weapons I've noticed.
Yeah.
And it's cool that some weapons are like better at utilizing the buildings things like more than
Hmm.
others, and that's really neat. It's just been that's been sort of like the most like exciting and surprising part of the game to me, is like all this building and stuff. But
it definitely seems like the kind of the thing that separates this maybe from Monster Hunter.
I think it's the thing that separates it. For sure. It's cool that even in the town you can like utilize that stuff too, which is super neat. Like you're creating like zip lines and stuff to like get around the town really well, and that stuff stays. And I don't know, that's really neat. But like,
what about the monsters? How are the monsters?
I mean, they're cool. I mean, it's nice that not everything's a dinosaur. That's what Malia always like talks shit about Monster Hunter. Like everything's a fucking dinosaur or a dragon. She just wants to see something else. But here I fought like a big bird, like big squirrels and stuff. It's just kind of like animals and stuff that you're more familiar with. They're just giant and really mean. But yeah, I mean, they've been really good. They feel like this feels like a hunting game made by someone who has made these games like enough times. These guys know what they're doing. Now, there are ways where it's a little bit unpolished, a little bit janky, a little bit budget, honestly. Like the voice acting's not very good and it's not mixed very well. And I still definitely don't care about the story, much like I wouldn't in a Monster Hunter game. So it's not like you'd be coming there for that. And like visually, it has like I think really good like art, but maybe technically it has some issues here and there. And I think combat wise, it doesn't like feel quite as good as Monster Hunter, at least not to me, at least not to what I'm used to.
Bar, though,
but, like it feels a lot looser, a little floatier, a little more imprecise. But then again, it's got its own strengths, and obviously it's stuff that's more unique to this game. It's just it's refreshing to play a game that's like Monster Hunter, but is so very much has its own kind of vibe and identity, which is nice. But it is still very much one of those. You want to get the new armor, you want to get upgrade your weapons and stuff, and the weapons are all very complex. Maybe not quite as deep as like Monster Hunter, but there's definitely something like weird, unique mechanics to all the weapons. I was really sad that I never unlocked. Say that again.
I said they're all nuanced to an extent. It's more than just meets the eye for it. Yeah.
Exactly. I was unfortunate that I wasn't able to like unlock the second set of weapons. You got to get further in the story, I guess. But like, there's one. I think it's what is it? I don't know what it's called. It's like a claw thing where you like stick a rope into the enemy and you like hook onto it. And once you do that, you could just like fly around the air, like around this enemy. And you're doing all this aerial shit while you're like tethered to the enemy. And it's like fucking insane. Like that's the weapon I really want to try, but I got to get further in the story. Right now, I'm just using some basic bitch katana, to be honest. Kind of transforms into a whip or whatever when you charge it up all the way.
Whip?
A whip.
Yeah.
A whip?
Yeah, but again, this seems like one of the more basic weapons, and I don't know. I really want to try that crazy like claw blade or whatever they call it, because it's fucking sick. It looks sick. Everyone says it's like Attack on Titan shit. Which it does sort of look like that. So I don't know. Yeah, I was a little sad I couldn't get crazy footage of that shit. Mostly me running away from this enemy I'm not really ready to fight because he's
big volcano monkey.
Yeah, volcano monkey. But yeah, it's been cool. I was kind of really, excited, but to play it and even talk about it. But it's definitely, I've been getting my ass kicked, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to feeling very strong and confident in Monster Hunter, and I'm definitely
maybe one day you'll
get there. Back foot here. It's like I just want to block some shit, and like the only weapon that can like block is this umbrella with a really tight counter window, and it's like this ain't it, because I'm not used to these monsters, these curry or whatever they fucking call them, or no, kimono. The monsters are called kimono, but yeah, I'm not used to them, so it's like I don't even know when to block anyway. So I don't know. I'm just getting my ass kicked, but it's definitely got me curious to kind of keep going. And
this is definitely firmly in that category of games that like looks really fucking cool, and it's one of those I really hope that I can find the time to at least dabble in it, because it looks unique. I mean, and as a fairly new Monster Hunter fan, I'm itching for the next core Monster Hunter game. This seems like a cool game to kind of like fill that gap.
I also hear like multiplayer is a lot easier and more intuitive than it is in Monster Hunter, which can be really stupid and hard, like annoying.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is good. So,
guys, what if they fucking announce Monster Hunter World 2?
Oh,
Monster
that's in
Hunter
the
universe.
you know it's in the pipeline. You know that's got to be in the next 2 years.
It's coming for sure.
No. I'm talking about when I say what like what if they announce it? I'm specifically asking because of what it will do to the fantasy critic.
Oh,
like,
you mean to release this year? It wouldn't release.
No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
if
would
we announce
be
it this year for release next year,
I'd say.
it'll be one of the first drafted next year. I'm assuming.
Oh,
If
yeah,
it's announced, yeah.
Capcom's two
For
big
sure.
releases for the rest of the year are Exoprimal and Street Fighter 6, and that's it. They're not going to do anything else.
Exoprimal. Don't say Exoprimal.
That is
a big release.
You have to accept that video game exists and it's coming for you, Brad.
But it's not going to be like a huge hit. That thing's going to fucking bomb.
Dude,
Brad, it's coming for you at least 6 times a day.
Yeah.
God damn it, Nolan.
7 on Sunday.
I think if anything, I think a bigger surprise might be that Dragon's Dogma 2 is closer than we think.
Well, we'll
Even though
see.
they haven't shown it yet.
Anything could happen. All right. I'm going to shift gears a bit. I want to talk about another game. So Nolan and I have been playing this. This is Dredge. This is actually the game that I didn't really know about. I'm not sure if when Nolan caught on to it. This is one of the games that Brad bid on, and I was like, "Huh, what's that?"
I think Brad bidding on it is what made me kind of look into it.
Yeah, same here. And it's
and I bid on it because it looked really cool.
It is pretty cool. This is a open world fishing game, but it's like it's like a hybrid between like an open world fishing game and like I don't want to say survival horror because it's not I haven't found it to be particularly scary.
It depends on how you play it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
If you play a little more conservative and safe, nothing really scary happens.
That's pretty much what I'm doing. To be totally honest.
But if you risk a little more, some scary shit's
Ooh, this sounds to me like Nolan, you've been taking some risks.
A little bit, but the problem is I have my ebbs and flows. And the thing is with kind of this style of game, when the scary stuff happens, it often ends up with something maybe kind of like chasing you, which is one of the things I fucking hate the most. And I'm like in my chair and I'm like fucking and I hate it. And that's why I don't often make too many risks.
Right.
But yeah.
So before we get too far into it, just to kind of set it up a little bit, you are a fisherman, who your boat is kind of destroyed at the beginning, so you're like trying to like earn money to like improve your boat and whatever.
The town you end up at, I think the mayor is like, hey, I'll help you out. I'll give you this boat. You can take this one here, but now you're in debt to me. Pay it off. Go
fishing. Bring us some fish and upgrade, and we'll pay you, and eventually you'll be able to earn enough money to like upgrade your boat.
Like a 20 or 30% cut of all your initial money until you've paid off your debt.
Is the mayor a raccoon?
No,
nope.
This is not one of those games. They're all real people. But like, so when we say horror, just to kind of paint with this like atmospherically, anyways, this is like a Eldritch horror, like a like Cthulhu type horror game, right? But you 100% control the boat, so you're driving around the world in the boat. When you dock at various islands, you can meet people, and at that point you're interacting with those people via like interactive menus, right? And like a little drawing will come up, or a painting of the character comes up, and then like it tells you what you're seeing. It's kind of like, it's almost as if like a dungeon master is kind of like reading you, like you pull up here and you see this, and then this person approaches you, and then they say this, and then you have to pick options, and that it's like a dialogue tree, right? But when you're outside of the dialogue, you are 100% docking at locations, leaving to go explore the ocean, go fishing, dredge the ocean floor to find treasures and stuff, and then bring it back to sell that stuff and make money, which you can then turn around to upgrade your boat and eventually buy improved like rods and nets and engines,
improve your boat itself. Increase your storage size.
There's also a little bit of Resident Evil 4 in there, like the attaché case, right? Like,
you're
playing fish Tetris.
Yeah, you oftentimes
Tetris,
end up playing Tetris with elements in your boat, and as your boat grows in size, that kind of changes because you have dedicated slots to like to fishing equipment or lighting on your boat or engines, and those can't be moved. And so now, as your boat changes, you now have to kind of change up your Tetrising. And some fish have very weird shapes.
I'm looking at this,
but at the same time.
I was gonna say, I'm looking at this footage and the concept, and I'm like, fuck, this makes me now want like a Dishonored fishing game.
I mean,
Like,
it
that
is
would
a
be
little
awesome.
The atmosphere, yeah.
Dishonored is kind of an apt comparison. Yeah, I can
But
totally see that.
But yeah, so you're fishing and stuff, but then there's kind of like I can fit a few more fish in my storage. Let me go keep going. But then the problem is, if you're out and about too long, your fish start to rot. They become worth less. So you really want to kind of go a little bit quicker. So, but then there's, like Nick said, you can also have a net. So instead of having like a big fishing rod for deep fishing, you can bring a net that just kind of travels around behind you, and fish slowly get caught in it. But as they do, they don't expire because they're in the water still. And so you can kind of have that one going for a lot longer. And so as I'm playing this game, and you're on all this like this little area, this part of the world you're in, is lots of islands spread out very far. And so what I often find myself,
in that
yeah, like
sense.
Wind Waker. What I find myself doing is when I'm going between big island chunks, I will make sure to have my net with me. So I'm bringing that net along the whole way, because sometimes it takes you quite a while to get there. And the thing is, the horror element comes into play at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out and about in the day, generally, for the most part, not too much happens. But at nighttime, that's when shit starts to go a little crazy.
Is that
and so
is that part of the Eye of Sauron that popped up there?
yes, yes, that's kind of like almost your sanity. It's almost like your sanity. Think about it that way. The more you're out and about and you're away from light and other people, like, shit starts to happen. Weird shit. And so you want to make sure you go back to a town or a dock somewhere where you can rest and essentially sleep until the morning, when the light comes back, and then you're good. And so that's the thing but the problem is, when you're out and about, not every place where you can dock is a town where you can sell fish. Sometimes it's just like a guy who you can do a quest with, or maybe it's someone who will, like a trader who will like buy like special like doubloons from you that you found. And so that could be the downside to having a bunch of fish in the hull of your ship, is they go bad. So like I said, like, I often try when I know I'm not going to be somewhere, I bring that net with me. Because the other thing is, when your ship takes damage for some reason, maybe you accidentally bump into a rock, or like a little twister in the that forms in the ocean, your ship takes damage, and like a random little square in your inventory gets like kind of destroyed. Negated. So, but the problem is, if something is sharing that space, you immediately lose it. So you could lose a fish, you could lose like some doubloons, a piece of equipment could break because it's in that slot. So if your fishing rod, which you can't move because you have to equip it at like a shipyard, now that's broken, so you can't use it until you go back and get it repaired. And at that same time, as soon as you take, in this case, Nick's ship is upgraded to 4 times. If you take 4 hits, you're dead. You lose everything.
So real quick, somebody in chat, Sonji, pointed out, because I didn't know this actually, because when you go back to like you dock at like a town or something, you have the option to sleep, and so time passes only when you're moving or fishing. So like if you stay still, you can sit there and you can go through menus, you can read your encyclopedia of fish, you can do whatever you want. But as soon as you start moving, time starts passing, right? So
moving, or like you said, interacting with something. So in this case, in the video, like Nick was like dredging some stuff from the water, so that will pass time.
Right. So, but like this is interesting because I didn't know this. If you don't take advantage of sleeping opportunities, you will start to hallucinate and see shit during the day. Like creepy horror shit will happen during the day. I have, like I said, I've been playing it really safe. I've been making sure I get enough sleep. If I end up accidentally staying out all night, I'll like sleep like 5 or 6 hours at the beginning of a day, because as far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any like punishment for like the number of days that have passed. Like I'm on like day like 48 or something in my playthrough, and I don't, as far as I can tell, there's no
rush to like finish the game quickly. No.
Right. Which, to be honest, I kind like, if I had to say there was anything kind of like a complaint about the game, maybe is that the stakes don't seem particularly high. I find this to be a very chill.
No. Which is good. For horror as it is, it is definitely chill. Like, especially if you play it with a little more relaxed and you're just kind of going from dock to dock and fishing and you're throwing out some crab pods and then going back and checking on them to see if anything's kind of gotten caught in
You
them.
get into a
And you're,
groove of like, I gotta
yeah,
go check my crab
it's a pretty chill game.
crates. I gotta go find some fish. I need this person requested this fish, and this fish. So, like upgrading your rod
I'm
so you can
guessing
like fish
maybe
deeper
as
in
you
the
get
ocean and shit.
as you get further in the game, though, you're gonna be pushed to kind of like.
Well, I hope so.
Here's
five
here's how it
relics.
kind of pushes you to an extent.
Mhm.
There are often times where, like Nick said, you get a pursuit, right? That's what they call them, pursuits. Like
Yeah,
it's your
yeah,
quests. Yeah.
a
So
quest.
you'll get
Yeah.
a pursuit, and it's like, hey, I want this fish. That fish is only available in this location at nighttime. And so your options are, well, I kind of maybe want to be over there when nighttime hits. And so, because depending on the time of day, different fish are out and about. Some fish are only out at night, some are only out in the day. And so, like in this case, the kind of area Nick's in right now, there's this one lady, she's like, oh, I want this one codger eel. It's only available at nighttime, and it's actually very far from a dock. And so it kind of forces you to go out and about at nighttime to find that thing. So you're
Yeah.
going to be interacting with more of that kind of like paranormal, spooky stuff because it kind of forces you. And I also assume I've only been to, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 big, like kind of island
Mhm.
chains. I've only been to 3 of them so far. So yeah, I don't know if maybe some of the other ones will have more intense stuff going on at them.
So
I'll
what
have
I
to
will
see.
say is, and from what I can tell, this is like, and I looked at how long to beat, and it's like it says it's like a 13 to 15 hour game, right? I played it for about 7 or 8 hours at this point, and I don't know if there's gonna be something after this, but one of the major like story points or like the setup things they kind of give you at the near the beginning is like this guy kind of hires you to go find all of these relics. There's 5 relics you got to track down. Each time you find a relic, he gives you this new like kind of magical ability that you can use in the world. Um, and I think that's like the main kind of like, I'm assuming I'm going to find all 5 of the relics and some shit's going to go down, and that's going to be kind of the end of the story or end of the game. I've already found 3 out of the 5 of them. So I'm still kind of waiting for like shit to hit the fan.
So one thing I will say, they're not always necessarily magical. I found 2 out of 5, I think, so far.
Mhm.
So the first one, at least that I got, is the one that gives you the haste ability,
Yeah,
which is
right.
essentially like overcharging your engines, which has a downside because if you push it too far, one of your engines will break, which
Right.
always sucks. And then the second one I got was the teleport one. Did you get
Yeah.
that one, Nick? All right, so
Yeah,
those are the 2 that I have.
and I think no matter what you do, you're probably everyone's gonna get them in the same order. And the third
Okay.
one is like a banish thing, which kind of like if you're in a situation where you're being chased by something, it'll like create like a bubble around you and like push everything away from you for a limited
Gotcha.
amount of time, which is
And
nice.
I will also note that so far, at least the first 2 that I have, they kind of have like a cooldown. So like when you do that teleport, which teleports you kind of back to the beginning area of the game, you
Yeah.
can't use it immediately again, it has a cooldown on it. And similarly, like I said, the haste for your engine overdrive, you can see in the footage actually right now, Nick was using it, where you kind of use the end button, you see there's like a fire icon and it goes up and up and up and up, and you can keep boosting as long as you don't let it hit the top, because if it hits the top, one of your engines will break, assuming you have multiple engines.
I used it a lot before I started really upgrading my engine and stuff. You know, this game is really cool, and I'm really enjoying it, especially just from like a conceptual standpoint. Like it's just so kind of like refreshing and chill and stuff. And I am eager to
That's a
see
good
where
art
it goes.
style.
Yeah, it has a really good look to it, and I would say this, and this might be something that Brad will understand with me, but like one thing I wish it had voice acting. I don't feel like I say that a lot. I wish this game had voice acting because it has so much personality, and I feel like if you know, and it's probably this is an indie game. I think it's made by one guy maybe or a really small team, so I would imagine it's more of a budgetary issue. But it seems like one of those games that would benefit greatly from having just like a really cool voice cast. What's up?
For
It
sure.
doesn't seem like there's much talking.
Well, there's a lot of dialogue actually. Like, you're talking to people a lot, and every time I'm reading it, I was like, "This is cool dialogue." I wish there was somebody like I wish there was like actual something to listen to. What's up, Chris Davis?
What's up, Chris?
I was going to ask, is there like an overarching narrative that's playing out as you're going through the game, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of obtuse. I mean, it's very like they give you these pretty basic tasks, but like you get the sense that like something bigger is going on here, something otherworldly is happening in this place, and like it seems like a lot of the town folk know more about it than you might know about it, kind of
Okay.
thing.
I don't know. It's funny you bring that up because I can be very like bullish about voice acting, and in some games I feel like it's crazy they're not voice acted. You know,
I
like
wouldn't say it's not
something
it's
like a
crazy
Nintendo game, right?
here, right?
But like there's some games like something like like Ace Attorney or like Citizen Sleeper, which I played recently. Like it doesn't bother me in the slightest that those aren't voice acted
Right.
because I don't
I
know, maybe
mean,
visual novels that are more like written to be like read. It
it's
makes more
definitely
sense to
not
me,
it's not a
but
deal breaker by
like
any
I don't
stretch of the
always
imagination.
need it. But
Right.
so I'd be curious because I look at this game and I'm like, this doesn't seem like a game where I need voice acting, but maybe I don't know yet.
I was a little hesitant to even bring it up because I don't think it's a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination, but like I just think about things like Hollow Knight, which don't even have like actual like language, but like they have like the little me, but like
Oh, this
it
doesn't
adds
even have that.
personality to. It doesn't even have
Yeah,
that. It's
As
just
nothing. Yeah.
silence.
there's a lot you
Um,
can do to the presentation of text to make it like much more
Yeah,
easier
even
on
that
the
kind of
eyes,
just like
more
the
readable.
not necessarily even like the person talking, but kind of that text noise, like the like
yeah,
that kind of noise that
Yeah.
when text is coming across, just something more than just the nothingness. Because I often, while there is not 10,000 lines of dialogue in this game, there is a decent amount, and I often find my time like oftentimes I'm like, man, okay, come on now, like because I don't like have the drive to like listen because I'm not listening obviously, and so there's been a few times where I'm like, okay, let's get it going, whereas I
sometimes I
feel
find
like
it a
if it
little hard
was
to
someone
engage.
talking, yeah, I feel like if there was someone actually talking to me, I would definitely be more apt to just kind of listen in.
Yeah, because
And
I
also
mean
that being
it's
said, so far I think there's only been like I don't know, maybe like 10, 15 people I've interacted with. Like you can
yeah,
honestly have one person or like three people voice act all of them, just like slightly
yeah,
different, and
right,
get away with it. But that being said, obviously, then now we talk about like, okay, well, I have a voice acting my game, and now I'm going to have it in different languages. Okay, well, now do I
yeah.
hire like? So I understand it gets complicated. It's not that simple, but
Yeah, but with that said, I think this is a really cool idea for a game, and it works really, really well, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's just this like chill, but also like cool atmosphere kind of experience, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Especially, and I'm also just like the kind of like the Resident Evil 4 attaché case kind of thing. I'm really
Mhm.
enjoying the fish
and
Tetris quite
the
a
other
bit.
thing I will say is I've been having difficulty kind of finding the drive to do the story, mainly
Mhm.
because I see all this stuff that I'm like, oh, I want to upgrade to this and I want to upgrade to this, and so I'm just finding my time just like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to do the story quite yet. I'm going to go and I just need one more
It's
piece
a
of
little
metal.
survival
If I can,
game. Like
oh yeah, for sure.
it gets that pull of like, well, I could go do the story, or I could go like just float around and find all kinds of resources and
Yeah, it's like
have the best boat in the game
if I had
before I'm like,
200 more dollars, I could get this, and now then I could buy this, and I just kind of find myself like not doing the story because I kind of want to just upgrade my ship a lot. And I know there's
yeah,
probably a fine balance of if I were to do the story, I would probably get access to this other thing, which would make earning money easier. And
Mm-hmm,
but I still
mm-hmm.
find myself kind of wanting to like, oh, if I just had this one more thing, I could make my ship
yeah.
that much better, and then I could earn money faster. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
but that's a
addictive.
good feeling. It's good
Oh
that the
yeah.
systems are crunchy enough to where they're like kind of addictive.
Mhm.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention. This is the last thing I'll say about it, but I think it was a really cool touch. Because like Nolan said, like at night when you're driving around at night, that's when things start to get your sanity starts to go down or whatever. And
Mhm.
like one of the ways that they raise the stakes at night and also kind of illustrate your loss of sanity is right. You upgrade your lights on your boat so you can see farther and farther out in front of you or whatever. But as your sanity starts to go down, you start to see these eyes kind of floating around. But like land masses that aren't
Yeah.
actually there can appear out of nowhere and suddenly
Mhm.
you like run into it and boom you've damaged your boat. So you're like, so during the day you can see as you can see to the horizon or whatever, but at night it's kind of like you have this like tight bubble in front of you. You can everything else outside of that bubble is just kind of like faded in the background. You can hardly see it. So like you're driving around and you're like, and then something starts chasing you. So you're like, I'm gonna use my haste ability and start moving my ship a lot faster. But then all of a sudden rocks can come at you even faster and stuff. And like you never know when they're going to appear,
And so
shit's pretty cool.
To add to that, the ship drives with like tank controls, and so it can be a little bit difficult sometimes, especially when you're going quick, to outmaneuver something, because it also has physics to an extent. It's not a car.
If you turn like sliding into it,
yeah, you drift a little bit. You know, it's not an exact. As soon as I start going right, you just immediately take a hard right. There are no hard rights when you're going, you know, at any kind of speed that's not like 0 in this game.
Right.
And so yeah, you can often accidentally, you know, graze something, but if you impact it and you're moving, like your ship takes damage.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool game. I do recommend it. Again, I'm glad Brad bid on this, because otherwise I may not have ever known this existed. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And also I think it's going to end up being one of those nice indie games that's like, I don't think this is a particularly long game, but it is open and there's a lot of stuff to explore, a lot of stuff to find. So it's scratching the itch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot.
All right. So I think during the break we kind of talked. I was gonna kind of revisit Resident Evil 4 because we talked about it last week, but Brad hasn't finished it yet, and I don't even think you've started it yet. But I assume are you?
I'm pretty sure I won the marathon for Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, exactly. So that's true.
No, I've not played any of the remake.
Are you going to?
No, it's on my to do. It's just my gaming time has been a little bit less lately, and the time I have been spent, I've actually been playing Dredge. So I'll eventually get to Resident Evil 4 though, for sure.
So I think we will shelve that for now, but rest assured we will revisit Resident Evil 4 at some point. But for now, go back and listen to our discussion from last week. For now, I think. I want to give Chris Davis a chance. You said you had a few quick mentions before we wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I finished Tchia.
You finished? How long did it take you? I'm curious about that.
Probably 12 hours maximum. Okay. After a certain point, I kind of just wanted to push through to the story, and I didn't realize that I was that close to the end of the game. And I was kind of locked in at that point. I was stuck going through the main story. So yeah, 12-ish hours, something like that. Otherwise, it really enjoyed the game, exploring the islands, and I mean, sure, there's not a whole lot of variety of things to do, but I just love the soul jumping and traversal that you can do, and just going and finding stuff is fun. Yeah. Also, really enjoyed the combat system. I loved figuring out how to properly chain in combos of throwing around incendiary objects at the cloth monsters to kill them and stuff. It was actually quite fun. Also, since I kind of have to cool it this month on spending, because I've made some financial purchases, I dug into my back catalog and started playing Rogue Legacy 2.
Nice.
Playing that one because there's no Rogue Legacy 0. I have finished 4 of the 6 areas. I don't know.
That was a Yakuza joke. I get it now.
Yes, it was.
I get it.
I mean, I don't know how far Nolan got in. I don't know whether he beat it or not, but
no, I did not beat it. Honestly, I think I only played like 4 or 5 hours of it, and it's mainly just because I picked it up when it was early access, and I played a bit of it. I think I got through the first area. I don't even think the first boss was available when it was in early access. I can't remember.
I played a bunch of it, Chris Davis. I beat a few bosses.
You did?
Ask me.
Yes. But then when it came out, I think it came out at like a weird time, and so I only played. I've definitely beat the first boss, but then I didn't go too much further after that.
Okay.
That wasn't a 2023 game, right? That was last year.
No, that was last year.
Yeah, last year.
Okay.
Yeah. It was like August or September, something like that.
Gotcha. It was very close to my top 10 list.
Yeah, it's really good. I just unlocked the Bard class, and I didn't quite get it until like I started doing. I didn't realize it was all about spin jumps, and then I figured out you could play a note and then land on it to do a spin jump and do an AOE attack with that, and I was like, oh, this might be a little fun. And just all the different classes you can find. There's not a bad class if you invest some time in it. It's just finding the right combination for the area and getting the right relics to augment your attacks. Like, I have had some incredible runs. I finished off 2 bosses with a single character because I got the combo relic, and I already had vampirism. So in combination with my duelist, I was it was the assassin. I was able to just build up these gigantic combos and fucking destroy everything in sight. Like when a run gets really good, it just feels so fucking good. But then there's also those times where you want to do those high risk gold runs and you die on like the first enemy you encounter and you're like, motherfucker. Oh, but
it's really fun. But like I hear that's like there's like a lot to that game. They had a lot when it was in early access, and I try to look up like what does this look like after people have been playing it, for a long time, and I'm like, I don't even what is this? This doesn't even look like Rogue Legacy anymore. I don't even understand what they're doing. They're just like fighting weird bosses in weird places that don't even look like Rogue Legacy, and I'm like, I don't even understand what this is. But
like,
yeah, it's cool. I like the the astrologer class, the one with the sight that can like teleport and stuff.
That's one of the two
the
remaining
one that creates like the void magic. Like the singularity, the one that creates the singularity, and you sort of leech mana by sucking. Maybe you haven't unlocked.
Well, that's the mage class. Like it doesn't do it like
not the mage class. It's like a fucking astrologer or something.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, there is an astrologer. I haven't unlocked it yet. That's the one of the two I haven't gotten. The dragon, cool the dragoneer with the dragon lance is pretty fucking good. Oh, I really like that.
I like dope classes.
Was it the samurai, the one where if you like, hit with the tip of your blade like fucking Marth, you do like crits?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a cool fucking class.
That took me a while to figure out. Like again, there's not a bad class. It's just like you gotta learn all their quirks, and maybe get hope for a good roll.
There's classes I definitely don't want to use, but yeah.
Also, like I'm having the one thing I'm struggling with is figuring out like all these different little subquest lines of finding these rooms and figuring out exactly what I'm supposed to do there.
Astromancer, that's what it's called.
Astromancer.
Oh yeah,
it's really cool.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I hopefully will finish it.
Also
next
random.
Week or so.
Doesn't even seem like the type of game you play, Chris Davis. To be completely honest,
I play roguelikes. I just don't play them very often. Like I probably put like 50 hours into FTL.
Would you say the same thing to me if I said I was randomly starting to play Rogue Legacy 2?
Well, you played a bunch of Hades and some other fucking random rogue like the other year, right?
I mean, I played a fuck ton of Hades, but I feel like that might be the only.
There's something else you played, some other roguelike you played.
Yeah, what's
Returnal?
The other roguelike that I played?
Returnal?
Oh, Returnal, my game of the year from 2021. Yeah, Returnal, man.
You fucked with.
But like those games are so different than like Hades and Returnal are both roguelites, but like they are fundamentally different than something like Rogue Legacy, which I've like because both of those games right from the get go you kind of know like there is an end in sight, I think. But like Rogue Legacy feels like the kind of thing you can boot up and it's gonna be like you could play it indefinitely. Which I mean you could technically do that with any roguelike, but I don't know how to describe it. But something about those games speaks to me.
That's fine.
Yeah. I don't. I'm glad. Thank you, Brad.
I don't know. Rogue Legacy just seems so like you should be playing Have a Nice Death or something. I mean, indie games are cheap. You can afford a new.
I very much am. I have added Have a Nice Death to my wish list. I have a few other games I want to get to first, but
Game Pass and whatnot.
Yeah, so Game Pass.
Wait, is it on Game Pass?
I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't know, but I'm saying like
wait for it to be on Game Pass.
I'm saying it seems like there's like a lot of cool indie games on Game Pass and stuff.
There are. Maybe I'm wrong.
Although I heard, sorry, Chris Davis, I heard that Microsoft finally ended like the $1 deal / exploit.
They did, yeah.
You can't do it anymore. So if you actually wanted to do Game Pass, Chris Davis, you might actually have to pay a reasonable price now.
I did the $1 thing, and I would have to create a whole new account to take advantage of the $1 thing again. So, like, I did it.
Well, you may have done it incorrectly, but that's fine. I mean, whatever. You should still get Game Pass when you're strapped. I think it's a good idea.
How about the site does the family plan that's rumored?
That is true. If they do the family plan thing,
we will work. Actually, is that just Game Pass for all?
I don't think we know that definitively yet, but if that officially happens, then I think we'll probably end up having a site-wide
My
Game
only
Pass.
like fear would be they do something similar to like the Steam family sharing or like Netflix, where either A, you have to be at the same location, or B, only one person can be playing at a time.
I think the second one is more likely.
I feel like it's expensive enough to where maybe it is a little bit more fair than like a little more useful to our needs than that actually, but we'll see because it's not cheap.
We'll definitely keep an eye on it. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the show with the 4-player minute. I'm gonna let Brad go first, as I always do.
I don't have much to say except a lot of my time where I'm just kind of just not playing games, but I'm still kind of thinking about them or whatever. But I guess the time where I might play a game, but I don't really feel like playing a fucking game, or I'm rocking a baby or whatever. I finished Psych Odyssey, and I really like Psych Odyssey, and I think anybody who is remotely interested in video games, like anybody on this podcast or watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, should definitely watch Psych Odyssey. It was really good. And so I said, fuck it, I'll go back and watch Double Fine Adventure, like the first documentary series they did on their kickstarted adventure game, which was turned into Broken Age. And that's really fucking good too. And I don't even care about adventure games. I don't like point and click adventure games. I've tried for my entire life to get into point and click adventure games, and I just don't fucking like them.
Man, nobody here. I'm
watching this document. What's that?
I just realized like nobody on this site touched Return to Monkey Island last year.
That's not true. I played it. It was on Game Pass, but I only played like a couple hours of it because I hate point and click adventure games. And I tried to make Malia play, and I could barely even watch her play it because I hate point and click adventure games. But watching this documentary is like, man, and I think I played like probably half of part 1 of Broken Age, which, by the way, they split it into parts. It's a crazy documentary. Yeah. But yeah, it got me. It's like, man, I want to play some fucking Broken Age, which I know is a bad idea because I don't like these kinds of games.
Because, as we stated, you hate point and click adventure games.
It's a good documentary series, so I recommend watching that one too. But if you had to watch one, probably watch Psych Odyssey because it's more about like big studio, like how games get made. Broken Age is a much smaller project, but it's a different time, and it's a little sad because Broken Age wasn't like a huge success, and it was at a time when like they did this Kickstarter probably because they didn't have a lot of options. Like they were putting out a lot of little games, and like none of them were kind of setting the world on fire. And there was even like I think layoffs like during the Broken Age like development, or maybe shortly after, and it's kind of like sad. Like I remember some designers got pulled off to like develop like an Amnesia Fortnite game, and that game just like fell apart, and they just laid off that whole team. I forget what it was called, the Space Station one, and it was just like, oh man, like they're all so like hopeful and happy, but like this is a studio that was born in the struggle and just has struggled constantly just to kind of stay afloat, looking for money, trying to get publishers, trying to find a hit until they got bought by Microsoft, a few years ago.
Space-based DF9?
Yeah, that's what it was called. Which was like a horrible failure for them. And they laid off that team. But it's I don't know. It all ends in like Psychonauts 2, which was like very tough game to develop, as you've seen like through Psych Odyssey, but like that game scored really well, and like a lot of games since the first Psychonauts, like Double Fine's a studio that shipped 70s games in the 70s, but like there's Psychonauts and then there's Psychonauts 2, and those are like really highly scored revered games, but between that was just a lot of rocky like games. Those are creative games for sure.
Stacking's my favorite.
Cool. There's a lot of cool Double Fine games. Like I love like Happy Action Theater, and like I still play that shit with like Henry. It's fun. Their Connect Party thing.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
They did a lot of like crazy stuff, but yeah, it's a weird time, and it's a cool documentary series. So I've been watching that, and yeah, Double Fine. Watch Psych Odyssey. I can't tell you enough. We get a new fucking viewer of it in our Discord. I feel like every other week, and sure enough, they come back saying, "Dude, this is incredible. Y'all should all watch it."
I'll post the link in the show notes again.
Yeah.
To the first episode. Nolan, why don't we pass it to you?
Yo. So like I said, there's been a whole lot going on. I haven't had a chance to play too many games in the past few weeks. But I have been playing Dredge, and I have been enjoying that. But obviously, we all go through those times where we don't play games. But one of the things I've been doing when I'm not playing games, because obviously, sometimes you sit down to eat dinner or before bed, whatever, is Bernadette and I have been watching a lot of Taskmaster. And that is an amazing show. And there have been multiple episodes of that show where we have gut busting laughter from it. And the crazy thing is, it's like all on YouTube for via officially from the Taskmaster official site. So that's something I would definitely recommend checking out. It's pretty funny. I've been really enjoying that a lot. It's one of those things where sometimes it sucks when you can't game because other stuff's going on, but then it's always nice to kind of have something to kind of get a little bit of enjoyment out of life.
For sure. Chris Davis, you're up. You
Sorry.
seem not prepared.
No, my hype is a thing I'm trying to pull up, but it's not pulling up for some reason. I guess I'm not finding it.
Are we allowed to do that on Twitch?
Yeah, I excuse me while I work this out.
Trying to unwhip his hype.
Yeah, so my hype this past week split into two parts. I guess number one, the reason why I chose to play Rogue Legacy 2 and delve into my back catalog was trying to save money because I finally bought a new TV. I bought
Me too.
Nice. Yeah, you bought a C2. I bought a G2 from LG. It's installed,
I don't know
and it's
either of those things mean.
They're both
LG OLEDs.
Yeah.
Everybody who follows LG OLED seems to know what I'm talking about when I say C2. So that's just what I don't really know much about it.
Yeah.
So I just say C2 and was like, oh, okay.
Just really good TVs. And I'd been needing one for a while because mine had been feeling it's had some issues over the years that I just haven't been able to fix, and now I can move on from that. Now
the remote doesn't.
Well, the remote's one of them because the LG's original magic remote's what they called. They had this accelerometer in there that would, after a while, just be constantly activated, so it would drain the fuck out of your battery. So I was having to change batteries on my remote every 6 weeks, practically.
Hopefully, that's not why you bought a new TV. But
no. There were some screen issues that from a 6-year-old OLED. Yeah, that's gonna happen. So
screen issues, dude. One of these days, I'm gonna shoot a video of what Griffin does to my TV, and y'all will shit bricks. You're like, holy shit! TVs can sustain that. That is insane. It's you wouldn't even believe it.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I don't want you to share that with me. I'll take your word for it.
It's wild.
Yeah, I don't need to see that and dread that for the rest of my life because you may have toddlers and small children. I have cats and they're just as stupid. Yeah,
you just call kids stupid.
I mean, kids are stupid. I mean, let's be honest here. Children under the age of 5, we're impressed that they know how to say words.
Kids are stupid, but we don't usually.
I'm not calling Brad's kids stupid. I'm just saying children in general.
We don't usually target specific children when we say that.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. My other thing was that, and I for some reason it's not live now, but it was before. Summer Games Done Quick. They published their tentative schedule for their event that starts Memorial Day weekend. There's some cool fucking shit on there. But the one thing that got me hyped, and I cannot believe it's on the list, is the Taxan developed G.I. Joe game for the NES is on that list. And that is secretly one of my favorite childhood games. It's secretly one of the best side-scrolling shooters on the NES.
It's not a secret anymore.
The
secret's out.
Well, I mean, hey, it's It's fucking awesome. And if anybody's gonna watch GD Summer Games on Quick this May, you gotta watch that run. That game is so cool for the time.
I'm sorry, which game was that?
The Taxan developed G.I. Joe game. Not
Does
G.I.
it
Joe
have an
the
actual
Atlantis
title?
Factor, G.I. Joe.
It's just called G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe, a real American hero.
A real American hero.
It's like it took everything that Contra was trying to do and did it like 10 times better.
That seems like a bold statement, but cool.
It's factually correct.
It's objectively correct. Okay, my turn, I suppose. Let's see. I'm hyped for one of the indie games I've been I played a demo for a while back, was really excited about, been waiting for them to like talk about a release date. Finally got a release date today. Trepang 2, the kind of love letter to Fear 1. It got a release date, and it's June 22nd or June 21st. I think June 21st. I remember because it is one day. I know there's not a lot of crossover here, but it is literally the day before Final Fantasy 16 drops. Which one's a first-person shooter, one's a massive AAA RPG. Obviously, they're very different things, but I'm excited for both of them, and this pretty much guarantees that I'm not going to get to Trepang 2 immediately. I was prepared to play that day one, but I don't think I'm going to be putting aside Final Fantasy 16 to play Trepang 2. But still, either way, I'm still very excited for this game. The demo was fantastic, and the trailer they dropped for it today looked fucking sick. I'm very much into it.
I played the demo too, and it was really fucking good. And ran especially well on my system.
And it looks like if you were to show, it's one of those obviously it looks much nicer because it's made in the year 2023. But like you could put that game side by side with Fear 1, and it's like you would think somebody made a direct sequel to Fear 1. That's pretty crazy.
The one thing that's is sad to me is that it has that excellent combat from Fear 1, like remade today, but the horror elements aren't going to be there. It's just a straight action shooter.
If you watch the teaser they dropped today, there are definitely kind of like otherworldly creatures in it.
Really?
Like they tease like there is a horror kind of, or there's like a monster aspect of it of some kind. But it's not like, obviously Fear 1 had Alma, Ghost Girl, like, which is very, very creepy. I don't think we're going to be getting anything like that. In fact, I don't think they could put something like that in this game and get away with it because it would look too much like a straight ripoff of Fear 1.
They should just fucking try. Just fucking do it.
And
then your next game, it should be a first-person melee-focused game where you're fighting a lot of psychotic homeless people.
Going for Condemned? Yeah. Condemned.
Do it.
I still want Condemned 3.
Have a level where you go into a dilapidated department store where there are a lot of mannequins around.
Yeah. Oh god, that game's so good. But yeah, Trepang 2. If you're not familiar with it, go check it out. Go watch the trailer.
Still good. You think Condemned is still good?
I mean, I think it probably doesn't hold up.
Condemned is not still good. I mean, Fear 1 holds up great because the combat's so fun, but Condemned, it's not like the combat is that fun. And I bet the investigative elements aren't very interesting anymore either. That'd be an interesting one to revisit.
I wholly endorse that farmhouse level. I think that would stand up 30 years from now.
Condemned games are, I think, stand the test of time just in terms of like concepts and for at the time execution. The mechanics and stuff have been done better in other games at this point. So which is why I'm like, I would love to see them either remake it or make a third one and see how that gameplay evolves.
Were you actually just beating up homeless people in that game? What is going on?
I mean, in the first game, there was like homeless people were going crazy and just like going after it and like murdering
supernaturally
people.
Like crazy.
Yeah. That whole game was like
as far as you understood supernatural. Yes. It's when they went to Condemned 2 is when they just kind of threw everything out and just ruined it.
Story-wise, maybe, but Condemned 2 is still pretty cool game. All right.
Oh man.
I just want more Condemned. Goddammit! I would love that series to make a comeback in 2023 or 2024. All right. That's it for the show tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. We normally record this show on Thursdays, but developments may be causing us to record on a different day next week, either Wednesday or Friday. So we'll keep you posted. But in the meantime, you can find us at 4playernetwork.com. You can find us, of course, in our Discord at discord.gg/4player. If you're not in there, please go join. Please let us know. Please say hi. Go to the introductions channel. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. And just hang out. Talk about video games and stuff. It's pretty cool. Pretty good time. But until next week, play video games, be good to each other, and have a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.